Hi everyone, it's Jan here. This is the third video of educational series of Microsoft VBA. In the last video we talked about how to work with Microsoft VBA objects. We talked about how to address the sheet and activate it, how to select the range object, how to use different method cells, and how to address and activate a sheet on another workbook. And then we talked about how to populate the range with value. So if you're interested on this one, click on the link in this video to see the previous video. In this video we're gonna talk about a little bit about variables and simple loop. So what is a variable? Variable is it is a variable that you set up, and it's used to hold a certain value or information. So for example, let's say that I will now uncomment this line here in the code, and this code here activates for me the sheet 1 on workbook Excel loops final. I have another workbook Excel loops final here, and this code will activate sheet 1. So let's comment out this line so it wouldn't apply, and let's see what it does. And sheet 1 on the Excel loops final workbook has been activated. So we have this statement here. It says workbooks, name of the workbook, sheets, name of the sheet, and activate. But let's say that in our code we would like to use this activation method for this sheet many times. So each time we would have to type in workbooks, then Excel loops final, then sheets, sheet 1, and activate. So there is a way how to declare a variable for worksheet. So declaring variable usually starts as one of the first lines of the code, and you're declaring variable by typing in dim, and then a variable can have whatever name you like. So I'm just gonna call it sheet 1 on Excel loops. There can't be any spaces in the variables, so it has to be all together. So sheet 1 on Excel loops, and we type in space, and we are declaring this variable as worksheet. So we are typing as, and as soon as we hit space, we are presented with a drop-down menu of maybe hundreds of choices that we can use. There is really a lot of them. So for now we want to declare this variable sheet 1 on Excel loops as worksheet. So we type in work sheet, and you can see that the option worksheet has come up in the drop-down menu. So you can just click tab, and the Excel will complete the sentence. When you click the enter, you can see that this as has been capitalized, it turned blue, and this variable is declared. So every time the Excel sees this variable in the code, it knows that it is the worksheet. So Secondly, we now have the variable declared, and now we have to set it. It means we type it down set, copy the variable, don't mind this error, copy this variable here, and we type equals, and here we can just copy this line here and paste it here in the end of the line. Then if we click enter, then we have set the variable sheet1 on Excel loops. So we now can delete this line and let's see what it does now. So we have declared the variable and we have set the variable. So now when we want to use sheet 1 in Excel loops final workbook, we just can basically type in the variable, press dot, and you can now see that you are presented with options that you can use with this variable, and we click in activate. So this time when the code runs, even though that this previous line is not there and is deleted, I go back to the training sheet so you can see, and when I run the macro by pressing this play button, the sheet 1 on this workbook will be activated. Now it has been activated. So this is one use for a variable. You can put in, you can set whatever sheet or workbook or range or any other basically objects into the variable. So then when you code in, let's say on this worksheet I want to activate some range, so I will select the range, for example A1 colon to A10, close with double quotes, close parentheses, and I say that I want to select this range. Option select is highlighted, so I can press tab and Excel finishes the work for me. So let's run it again. Back to the code. This time run it line by line by pressing F8. So F8, F8. Here we are setting the variable on this line. Here this variable holds the needed worksheet. So this line will activate the worksheet, and this line will select range A1 to A10. And these lines were skipped because they are commented out, they don't apply. And with another F8 we finish the procedure. So this is one use of the variable. Another use of the variable, which is really handy, is declaring the, let's say, the string you are going to use in your macro. So let's say that I am going to be putting the string our range into a variable, and I will call this variable our range. Our range. Our range. And you can start typing straight away after the previous variable. You just divide the variables by comma, and you don't need to use the dim again as long as it is on the same line. So variable our range will be deemed by Excel as string. And now you can see that it again capitalized, it all became blue, and this is the variable. So again, if we are using a simple variable string, we don't need to use set in front, so we just copy the variable here, equals, and sorry, put it right back so I can copy from here so we wouldn't be bothered with the error message, and our range variable equals our range. So each time in the code Excel sees this variable, it knows that it holds the string. The variable can change as the code progresses, but I will show this to you when we do that simple loop. So another type of variable, I have now set this our range as a variable. So, and I have selected the range here A1 to A10, and if I want, I can use this variable for populating any cell, any range, anything basically. So let's use this code line here, uncomment it, or you can use the block here on the ribbon uncomment block, and we are saying that the cell on row 1 in column 3 equals our range. Don't mind, our range. Okay, now we press enter. So now as we go through, let's run it again line by line. So here we are declaring two variables on the first line, sheet 1 to Excel loops, worksheet, and our range as a string. Then we are setting the worksheet. We are activating, but it's already activated. The range 10 is already selected, but I can, for demonstration, select a different range and run this line, so you will see. Now we are saying that once this line is executed, the variable our range will equal to this value here. So if you hover over it, you can see it's now empty. When the line is executed, the variable now holds the value, and this line will place the value in cell in row 1 and column 3. So execute the last line and end the procedure, and you can see that in the cell C1 there is our range populated. So then maybe one more variable as we go through in this video, we can use the variable for numbers, for example. So we know that during the code we will be using let's say variable named x, and we declare it as integer. And we press enter. So each time Excel sees this x, it will know that it will hold the number, and it holds the number from 0 I think to 32,000 something. If you know that this x should be holding higher numbers, then instead of integer you can use long, or double. Long can hold higher values than integer, but lesser values than double. If you want to utilize basically all the rows in the worksheet which are I think going to over 1 million, and you know that you need this big number in the variable, you have to use double. Okay, so this is the variable for which is going to be holding the number. In fact, the variable declaring like this, especially the strings and the numbers, it's not required. Even this is not required. But if you don't set it up, then each time your code goes through, you would have to type all this line in. But if you declare it, it saves the memory for Excel when it processes the code, because each time it runs into this one, it knows that it should treat it as a worksheet. Each time it runs into this one, it knows that it should treat it as string, and so on with this one. If this is not there, then each time the Excel sees sorry, this variable or any variable that is not declared, it has to spend the memory in order to analyze the value the variable holds, and then find out whether it's a string or a number. There is an option that forces you to declare variables, and if you don't declare them, then you can't use them. And the option is turned on by typing op explicit at the beginning of your code. And if I right now am going to use any variable in my code that I have not specifically declared, for example, I just do the typo and I type 2 e's at the end, and I put equals, let's say hello, and I press enter, and when I'm trying to run the code, I will get an error that the variable is not defined. So you can use this option if you want. I don't very much use it. There is it helps in some cases, but in many cases I don't even know what kind of variable I will be using in the code when I'm writing it. So far I didn't very much use this one, and I was fine. So this is the option of how to force you to declare variables. Okay, so that's about variables for now. When there is a need in other videos to elaborate more, I will do it there. Okay, and let's see the variables. So let's say in practice, I will leave this part here as the last thing in this video. Let's see the variables in practice. So what can be use the variables for? It can hold the value in certain point of the macro, and then the value can change in a different point of the macro, especially when we are doing loops. The loop is basically the way how to repeat the steps and how to repeat the steps many times. Most basic loop that is in VBA Excel is for next loop. If you want to use this loop, you start typing for and then the variable. So we will use this x here. For x equals, and let's say we are going to start on the second line because we have the headings on the first. So x equals 2, and then you have to say where you start, and then after 2 you have to say where you end. So let's say right now we have 30 rows here, so let's say to 30. There is a way how to dynamically count how many rows you have in your column or in your sheet, but I'm not going to go through that in this video. We will do it in the next one. So this is the first line of for loop, and going a little bit farther ahead, the loops must end with next x, or whatever variable is used here must be here. So whatever will be put in between those two lines will be repeated 29 times, because we start at 2 and finish at 30. So what to do with this loop? Okay, we can see that in this row B we have these many unique values. So let's say what we'll do with the loop. We will say that for cells in row 2, which is x, because it starts at 2, sorry, it starts at 2, and in column 3, and we want the value from that cell, so dot value, and we will put the value in the variable, so we say date unique equals and the value of that cell. So we can say that we have this date in this value, and now with this value we are going to be looking to the second column and finding the numbers in the column A and multiplying them by, I say, okay, 5. Yeah. So we have this value here, and we will be looking through the column B. So as long as this value is present, holds this value in cell C2, then, okay, maybe we're jumping a little bit ahead here, so I'll just show you, so it wouldn't be too long this video. I'll just show you the simple loop, not the nested loop. So let's say that this is going to be our loop, and each time the loop runs, this variable will get a different value, and we say that we will replace what is in column C. We will put it in the column A. So we took the value, just let's run it. I will comment this so it wouldn't overwrite our data. Let's run it line by line, and we are going to the loop. First time it goes through the loop, the x holds the value 2, so the cells will be the second row, third column. Now date unique is empty. When the line is executed, date unique is, you can see what it is. So, and let's say that we will use this variable to populate another cell in column A. So we are saying cells row index is going to be x again, column index is going to be 1, because we want to put the value in column 1, and value equals and our variable. Okay, so by dragging this arrow back to this line, I will execute this line, and you can see that in A2 we now have our variable, the value of our variable. When we are going to the next, then x holds the value 3, date unique changes to 20th of September, and we are going to have it in A3. And again, date unique changes to 21st and in A4 because x holds the value 4. And then x holds the value 5, date unique changes to 22nd, and again it changes in cell A5, and so on and so on and so on. And here we don't have any value in cell C9, so our variable is empty and it's going to be moved to A9, so it would become empty again. And this is going to go all the way to 30th row. So if I run it now all the way through by pressing this play button, these values will become basically empty because whatever is in here has been moved in here. Okay, this has been a little bit longer video. I've been erratic and couldn't find my words. Sorry for that. It's a little bit late in the afternoon here. So thank you for watching. Sorry for this being too long. And in the next video we carry on with the loops. I hope you will find this handy, and we will see you on the next video. Thank you.